guys, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I am doing a bookshelf tour. I know I just did a bookshelf tour like 3 months ago, but I just visited my parents in New York and I was able to bring back the rest of the books that I own with me, and I'm going to put them on the shelves behind me. I haven't actually done it yet, but it's going to be fabulous and I'm going to give you a tour since my bookshelf is going to be looking a little bit different than my previous bookshelf tour. Let's just get into it. Alright, so this is the very tippy top of my shelf where I have a few books and a few collectibles. This is mostly books that I got on my travels, so I will go quickly through them with you. On top of those books there, I have a mini Eiffel Tower that I got in Paris and a mini Blarney Castle that I got in Ireland. Then I have these two mini books that I got when I was in Washington, D.C. Quotations of Abraham Lincoln and the Declaration of Independence from the National Archives. I have Amazing and Extraordinary Facts of London that I obviously got in London. I have a paperback copy of Paper Towns by John Green that I got while studying abroad in New Zealand. The Stranger's Child by Alan Hollinghurst. And this is a London, Britain bestseller, and it also is an English author. I have two copies of Madeline that I got when I was in France. These are both in French, and they're amazing. Then I have a copy of The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. This I didn't get when I was anywhere. I just really adore this book, and I felt like it didn't really fit anywhere else on my shelf, so I thought I would put it with all these other books. And then I have three old Nancy Drew books that I used to scour antique stores with my dad for. I have number 1, number 43, and number 7. The first being The Secret of the Old Clock by Carolyn Keene, The Mystery of the 99 Steps, and The Clue in the Old Stagecoach. And then next to that, I have two things that I got in Hobbiton while I was in New Zealand. I have Hobbit South Farthing Sackville Cider, and then a sign painted "No admittance except on party business." Over in this corner, I just have a few extra things. I have the George R.R. Martin The World of Ice and Fire, the Lost encyclopedia that someone gave to me, which was really thoughtful of them, because that's one of my favorite shows. And then I have my original copies of the Hunger Games trilogy without dust jackets on the end there. This top shelf is almost exclusively young adult contemporary books with a couple new adult contemporaries thrown in here. The If I Stay duology by Gail Forman, consisting of If I Stay and Where She Went. Let It Snow, 3 holiday romances by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. Looking for Alaska by John Green. Paper Towns by John Green. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Looking for Alaska, Special 10th Anniversary Edition by John Green. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach. The Espressologist by Christina Springer. My True Love Gave to Me 12 Holiday Stories by Holly Black, Allie Carter, Matt De La Pena, Gail Forman, Jenny Han, David Levithan, Kelly Link, Mira McIntyre, Stephanie Perkins, Rainbow Rowell, Lainey Taylor, and Kirsten White. Edited by Stephanie Perkins. I Was Here by Gail Forman. Trouble Is a Friend of Mine by Stephanie Tromley. The Distance from Me to You by Marina Gester. Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. The To All the Boys duology by Jenny Han, consisting of To All the Boys I've Loved Before and P.S. I Still Love You. Along for the Ride by Sarah Dessen. Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. And November 9 by Colleen Hoover. This next shelf here is adult fantasy. In the corner there I have a Popo Funk Rob Stark, and I also have a Flask that says Night's Watch Lord Commander that one of my really good friends gave to me, and I love it, and it sits with all my Game of Thrones books. First up, I have A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin with illustrations by Gary Gianni. A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin in hardback. The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin with illustrations by Louis Royo. The Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin in mass market paperback consisting of A Game of Thrones, Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, Feast for Crows, and A Dance with Dragons. A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. Furies of Calderon, Book 1 of the Codex Aleri series by Jim Butcher. The Elfstones of Shannara by Terry Brooks. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Hood by Stephen Lawhead. The Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson consisting of The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages. Stardust by Neil Gaiman. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And the first two parts of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien consisting of The Fellowship of the Ring and The Two Towers. The Magicians by Lev Grossman. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The Queen of the Tierling by Erica Johansson, and The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. The next shelf here is science fiction and dystopian, and on the left there I have a Funko Pop of Finn from Star Wars, Star Wars Aftermath by Chuck Wendig, Star Wars Smuggler's Run, and Star Wars Before the Awakening, both by Greg Rucka, and Star Wars Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. Cinder by Marissa Meyer, Starflight by Melissa Landers, The Fifth Wave and The Infinite Sea, both by Rick Yancey, the first two books in the Fifth Wave trilogy. Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, The Martian by Andy Weir, The Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins consisting of The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. I have Divergent Collector's Edition by Veronica Roth. Behind that, Without Dust Jackets, I have For, a collection of short stories by Veronica Roth, Allegiant, Book 3 in the Divergent series, and Insurgent, Book 2 in the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. The Maze Runner trilogy by James Dashner, consisting of The Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials, and The Death Cure. Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. This shelf is mostly young adult fantasy. Stolen Songbird by Danielle L. Jensen. The Young Elites by Marie Lu. The Demon King by Cinda Williams-Chima. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, consisting of Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. I also have The Assassin's Blade, which is the bind-up of the novellas from the Throne of Glass. The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson, Shadow of the Wolf by Tim Hall, The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson, The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. The first two books in the Winner's Trilogy by Marie Rudkowski, The Winner's Curse and The Winner's Crime. The first two books in the Grisha Trilogy by Lee Bardugo, Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm. And the Graceling Companion series by Kristen Cashore, Graceling, Fire, and Bitterblue. The next shelf here is mostly adult mystery / thriller novels. The Secret Place by Tana French, Broken Harbor by Tana French, The Likeness by Tana French, Faithful Place by Tana French, and In the Woods by Tana French. Next I have Night Film by Marisha Pessel, The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, Deadly Decisions by Kathy Wright, The Lost Symbol by Dan Brown, Grey Mountain by John Grisham, The Secret Wisdom of the Earth by Christopher Scotton, Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCreight, The Affair by Lee Child, Casino Royale by Ian Fleming, Veronica Mars' The $1,000 Tan Line, and Veronica Mars' Mr. Kiss and Tell by Rob Thomas and Jennifer Graham, Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, and Natchez Burning by Greg Iles. This next shelf is a little more mixed up. It is a tall, young adult fantasy, mostly with a couple other things thrown in. The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, consisting of Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, and Inheritance. The first 2 books in the Lumature Chronicles by Melina Marchetta, consisting of Finnegan of the Rock and Froy of the Exiles. An Ember in the Ashes by Sabah Tahir. The Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes, consisting of Fallen Kingdoms, Rebel Spring, Gathering Darkness, and Frozen. Red Queen by Victoria Aviar. Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. 6 of Crows by Lee Bardugo. The first 2 books in the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon, consisting of The Bone Season and The Mime Order. Here I have mostly urban fantasy and paranormal of the young adult variety. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moaning. Lux Beginnings by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Bloodlines by Rochelle Mead. The Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead, consisting of Vampire Academy, Frostbite, Blood Promise, Shadow Kiss, Spiritbound, and Last Sacrifice. City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, book 3 in the Mortal Instruments series. The Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, consisting of Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. The Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor, consisting of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. Twilight, the special 10th anniversary edition, and Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer. And The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This next shelf is the rest of my adult fiction, some historical fiction, some young adult historical fiction, and a couple non-fiction books. Probably my most eclectic of the shelves. Sisterhood Everlasting by Anne Brashear. Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver. The Mountain Story by Lori Lansons. The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. The Roundhouse by Louise Erdrich. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom. State of Wonder by Ann Patchett. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter by Seth Graham Smith. Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. The Gemma Doyle Trilogy by Libba Bray, consisting of A Great and Terrible Beauty, Rebel Angels, and The Sweet Far Thing. Grave Mercy by Robin LaFevers. Rook by Sharon Cameron. I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zuzak. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. The Diviners by Libba Bray. Catherine the Great, Portrait of a Woman by Robert K. Massey. The Opposite of Loneliness by Marina Keegan. This bottom shelf here I have mostly middle grade fiction, starting over on the left with my Harry Potter collection that I'm not going to take out. I've got the illustrated Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I have books 1 through 3 and 5 through 7. I do also own book 4 in the original hardcovers. I am just currently reading it, so it's not on my shelf. I have Tales of Beetle the Bard, Quidditch Through the Ages, and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I also have the Order of the Phoenix new cover right on top there. I have a little Funko Pop of Harry, and I do have Hermione's wand. Moving on, I have the Inkheart trilogy by Cornelia Funk. Inkheart, Ink Spell, and Ink Death. Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DeCamillo. Time Cat by Lloyd Alexander. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Book 1 in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Bloomability by Sharon Crete. The Thief Lord by Cornelia Funk. Crown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. Rules for Stealing Stars by Corey Ann Haidu. The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. Theorist by Gail Carson Levine. The Search for Wandla by Tony D. Terralizzi. The Giver by Lois Lowry. Hoot by Carl Hyacin. And the Percy Jackson series over in the corner, consisting of The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. Now, this other bottom shelf is very eclectic, and it consists of my classics, one sci-fi / horror young adult series, and my graphic novels. This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by Howard Pyle, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This is a really large stack of classics, so I'm just going to point at them and tell you what they are because I'm getting exhausted from doing this video. This is The Call of the Wild by Jack London, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, Lord of the Flies by William Golding, Animal Farm by George Orwell, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, Les Miserables, the abridged version by Victor Hugo, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, and Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I have the Enemy series by Charlie Higson. Then moving over on to my graphic novel collection, I have Amulet the Stonekeeper by Kazu Kibushi, Dreamer Volume 1 and 2 by Lori Ines, Saga Volume 1 and 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, East of West Volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Hickman, Dragotta, and Martin. Then I have The Walking Dead Compendium Volume 1 and A Game of Thrones the graphic novel Volume 1 way at the bottom there. Oh my goodness, that was so much longer than my first one. So that was my bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!